Internet, hello, you absolute lovelies. It is time for another week in comics. It is a giant news week. If you're new to this page, and I know a lot of you are, every week I do a live stream on Wednesday, new comic book day, at least I try to, breaking down my favorite comics from the past week, as well as bringing you all of the comic book news. I read about 50 to 70 comics a week. I give you my favorite 9 in this live stream, but I also bring you all of the news that happened this week with the context of someone that reads 50 to 70 comics a week. It's one of my favorite things to do. I always try to get people in the local comic shop and also inform them about the books themselves. So if any of that sounds like your cup of tea, whether it's movies, TV reviews, news, or comic books, hit that subscription bell because I'm going to do a 50 comic giveaway when we get to 50K, and we are probably going to get there this week, which is very exciting, which means after Comic-Con, I'm going to do some special thing in August and kind of organize how we're going to do that 50 comic giveaway, mailing 50 comics directly to you. So that's very exciting. It's happening. We're right there at 50K. Fantastic Four has been very good to this page. Superman was very good to this page. So we're coming up, and I really want to thank you all right here at the top. My Fantastic Four coverage did really well, and journalism is not always loved, and I struggle and fight with meme culture and TikTok things and all that stuff. So to see actual questions and having a real moment on a carpet get rewarded has been really beautiful, and I really appreciate it. So much love to the Hollywood Reporter for putting me on that carpet, and much love to you guys for watching my reviews as well as my interview stuff. It has meant a lot to me. Today we are going to discuss the giant MCU updates that have happened. Kevin Feige talking about Secret Wars being Secret Wars in the way the comic is, meaning a reset. We're talking recasting of Iron Man, Captain America, X-Men. We're talking new universe, which is absolutely insane. He's also talking about how things have kind of fallen apart in the last couple phases, putting things back together, quality over quantity. A lot of big quotes out of Kevin Feige. He's being very transparent. It's also interesting in the 10-year plan. It would be Comic-Con week. You know, it is Comic-Con week, but since they don't have a panel, this sorry, I've been fighting not getting sick. It's interesting to see all these announcements come through right as there would be a panel. So it's kind of cool to see like an at-home version of a Comic-Con panel. I wish they had a panel, but it's cool to get this news out there. Also going to be talking about all the Fantastic Four things. We're talking box office. We're talking Rotten Tomatoes. We're talking all those things without talking about the movie because I have seen it, but it's not out yet and I'm not a monster. So I'm not going to talk about any of those things until you've seen it. I will be putting out a what to read comics tomorrow for Fantastic Four, and then Friday, my spoiler review. So lots of FF coverage on this page this week. And then over on the DCU side, there's more MCU stuff, by the way. Chris Hemsworth being the second lead of Secret Wars, some Spider-Man updates. We're going to talk a lot of MCU. And then over on the DCU side, we've some Clayface updates, including a new cast member joining. We've got our writer for Wonder Woman confirmed by James Gunn. We officially have the writer for Wonder Woman. We've got some movement on a potential Mr. Terrific spinoff. Lots of stuff to talk about today. It is a huge news week, so please join me on this journey. If you're new to this page, like I said, hit that subscription bell. Leave a comment below. I want to hear what you have to say about all of this news. And without further ado, let's dive into the news, you lovelies. All right, first up, let's talk about Secret Wars. Secret Wars is the follow-up to Doomsday. It is the next Avengers duo of films. We went from Infinity War to Endgame. Now we've got Doomsday and the Secret Wars. Those come out next December and the following December, respectively. So we are not far away. They're filming them now, and that is crazy when you think about what it looks like they're going to do. In the comic books, they use Secret Wars as a way to have a lot of continuity kind of get cleaned up. It is a big event in the comic books. The most recent one, the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars from like a decade ago versus the ones from the 80s, basically brought Miles Morales into our universe. It had incursion events, and it was a way to clean up continuity and keep the characters that you wanted to keep and get rid of the characters that had become messy with continuity. That's what it sounds like they're going to be doing with the movies. We've never had a shared universe. We've never had anything to have all of this continuity get streamlined. We've never had movies and TV shows share continuity to the scale, hundreds of hours of content. And all of that means eventually, if enough writers touch something, it becomes kind of convoluted. If something lasts long enough, you've got that problem. On top of that, actors age. We're human. On top of that, characters evolve and change. The world evolves and change. But we've never had this in a movie. So it's really interesting that Kevin Feige is talking about recasting, because that means Secret Wars will function in the same way. it does make sense in James Bond and in, Superman and all these other things when you restart something to recast. It's interesting to see it be something that's going to be continuing some of the old and keeping some, because I imagine certain actors that just signed on, certain roles that are just fresh, like Miss Marvel, for example. I imagine they would keep her on the other side of Secret Wars, and certain characters that are, functioning in Thunderbolts. I'm really curious what characters they keep, how they rationalize that in a more film setting where you're more connected to the actor. It's not like drawings and writing that you can kind of like imagine a new take on. These are people who are familiar with in these roles. But it has worked for James Bond. It has worked very recently with Superman, but it's in a shared universe. So I'm very curious about that. I think it's a very smart move. I think streamlining is necessary. I think the MCU is a really wonderful thing. I think it's been 20 incredible years almost. It'll be 20 years by the time we get to Secret Wars of a big experiment. And it's the most I've ever felt like anything captured the feeling of comics as a universe, like the shared universe element. But it has become a what's the post credit scene? What is this setting up? Not what is the individual movie itself. I don't think you don't read comics for Easter eggs, you read comics for the story. I think resetting everything gives you an opportunity to go back to what makes phase 1 through 3 really work, which is interconnectivity, but not at the cost of storytelling. And so I'm really excited for this. I'm really curious what they do as far as like Iron Man not being Downey Jr. in tone and style. The comic Iron Man was not purely Downey Jr. until they cast him, and then the comic started to feel like more like Downey Jr. But there are so many different takes on these characters. They're so big and archetypal, you can play them different ways. So I think they'll end up going very different. Like the Ultimate comics feel different than the mainstream comic. And in that same vein, Iron Man in the 70s felt different than Iron Man in the 90s. What will that feel like when they recast someone, and how will the audiences adjust to that? So it is very fascinating. I'm really curious how that all plays out. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comments. I'm going to definitely get all of your comments in the super chats before we leave. I will never leave a super chat behind, so please keep those coming in. And I promise between stories, I'm going to attack all those. I very much appreciate them. But I'd love to know what you guys think of this big reset of all the things moving and grooving to change the MCU. I did a full breakdown with each of the quotes over at Real Rejects. Greg and I went through the actual quotes. I don't have graphics on this show, so reading you guys quotes without images, I feel like is a bit boring. I just wanted to give you some of my broad thoughts on the big things. If you guys have any questions about any of the specific quotes or any certain thing you want me to talk about, please throw it in there. But yeah, if you guys want to hear me respond to each and every quote of the big moments, check out Real Rejects video dropped this morning. But I really wanted to talk about Secret Wars because this is something I've been calling since before Endgame. When the Russo brothers said they wanted to make a Secret Wars movie, I have been saying, oh, that's how we're going to reset the universe, because it's not sustainable to keep it going forever. I think this is an incredible move. I think it's a really good opportunity. I think they should cast as differently as possible while still being true to the character so that you can start fresh. I also think, and this is the next bit of news, the X-Men starting after Secret Wars is inspired. I think the X-Men are the great future of the Marvel movie world. I think there are so many opportunities with X-Men to do a shared universe almost into themselves. There are so many teams, so many dynamics, so many interesting things. But most of all, I think that a world that hates and fears them doesn't work in the current MCU. Most of the characters don't wear masks. Most of the characters are very public facing and approachable and like loved. When you have the X-Men, you need to have a differentiator to make it work that a universe would hate and fear them. And I think we're starting to get the tones of that with Daredevil Born Again. We're starting to get that with Miss Marvel. We're starting to eke in. But I'm curious how that familiarity flows into what's going to be the new universe, and how that new team of X-Men and a younger team of X-Men, starting young, X-Men, the teen adolescent element is hugely important. What that applies to like the new generations of like Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They're a bit more outspoken about a lot of things. They're a bit more public facing about their feelings and the way they protest and all those things. I think that's perfect for X-Men. I think we should very much lean into how important the X-Men have been to civil rights movements and to different movements through time and this new era of them. So I think X-Men kind of kicking off the universe and being integral is really wonderful. So I'm excited. Yeah, I think it is going to be a very beautiful thing to use our time to tell art that is topical, that has lasted forever. And that sounds like it's an oxymoron, but the art that's lasted forever has lasted forever because it's always topical. But I think if we're resetting anything, the X-Men are kind of the perfect thing to start post Secret Wars. So I think that's pretty great. I'm very excited. Again, I'd love to know what you guys think. I'd love to see this younger cast of X-Men. I'd love to see all these things come in the next 5 years. I'll probably still be joining you guys on YouTube and hopefully on other platforms as well, but we'll get to talk about it in 5 years. Watching back, my content from Winter Soldier was fascinating to see, what was called and what wasn't, and the predictions and stuff. This feels like one of those zeitgeist shift moments where I'm like, man, this is gonna be crazy in like 2030, what the world looks like for comic adaptations. Speaking of Secret Wars, the last little bit of news on Secret Wars, it sounds like Chris Hemsworth is gonna be the second lead of Secret Wars, and I think he's gonna bite it. I think we wanted a Thor 5 to fix a lot of the Thor Love and Thunder problems. I think that Avengers 6 is basically going to do that instead. I think that personally, my opinion, I think Thor works best in the Infinity War and Endgame movies, even more than he does in his own movie, even more than he does in Ragnarok. I think personally, the best Thor we got was in the Russo brothers and Marcus and McFeely's hands. So I'd love to see that character. Whoop, I didn't realize this was a little blurry. I'd love to see that character get his due with those guys in a final performance. And I could see also that tying into the end of Secret Wars. If he's the code lead, he might have the time to actually, get a farewell. So I'm very excited about that idea. It's a rumor that just dropped this morning. I'm really curious what that's going to look like. And we also have things like the occult coming to play. Mephisto, the Kevin Feige said on the Fantastic Four red carpet, I think it was, that quote, now that he's here, the potential is clear. So that is also very exciting of how dark the new MCU could be. I think they should lean more R-rated at times. I think it should be an all ages franchise, but they should have adult things sprinkled throughout. We saw the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. I could see some really cool Midnight Sun stuff. I could see some cool Mephisto things, and he could survive a Secret Wars event. He's the devil. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I very, very much hope we dive into all that as news develops. And it's really interesting to hear all this, not at a Hall H panel, because Marvel isn't having a Hall H panel. So I'm very, very curious. Thank you for noticing the defog. Apologies. I didn't see that. That was chaos there. My watch time on this is going to be abysmal because everyone's going to be like, why is it blurry the whole time? But yeah, so I'm very curious about this. I'm very excited. We're going to jump into the next bit of news here in a second. But first, I'm going to get into the super chats. But after super chats, I'm going to talk about Spider-Man and Fantastic Four. So bear with me if you are watching this live. I got to scroll all the way back up. And Ryan Baines with the first super chat. Thank you much. Thank you very much, Ryan. Do you think Superman has the staying power to be revered in 47 years, the same way the original Reeve film is? Or is it because that's the original? There are a combination of factors there. One, I think nostalgia is incredible. I think everyone is going to have their Superman, and they're going to have their Batman, their Spider-Man, right? Like, I think there's a certain element of when you watch these movies, that is going to be what anchors people to a certain take. Then on top of that, you've got the first of something. Not only was Superman 78 kind of the first big superhero film, I say kind of because we'd had the 50s movies, but they were much smaller scale. We'd had some things, but it was really the first blockbuster superhero film. That's always going to be important. So 47 years ago, we have that in reverence because it was the first, because that was a lot of people's like anchor to the character, because it was so good is also the third thing. It was incredible. So I think 1 and 3 are what this Superman has. It's going to be a lot of people's Superman. I know I now see David Cornsweet as Superman. I know, like, my buddy Greg and a lot of other people, that's our Superman. It anchors how we see the character. And then the quality of the film will be that third thing, but it'll never be the first. It won't ever have that thing. So I think it'll hold up, but I don't think it'll ever be Superman 78, because only Superman 78 is. All right, next up. Thank you very much for that super chat, man. I really appreciate it. You guys know all of these super chats go to the Hopeful House Fund. One day I want to buy a house, and that's hard to do in 2025. So hopefully by 2030, I can get a goddamn house. So I'm always saving all of these, and I really appreciate it. I make like $7 a video on the comic videos, to be totally honest. The reviews do better. People search reviews. I'm improving the lighting and I'm improving everything to grow things. But as far as comic videos, they never do that well. So I really appreciate the super chats to help kind of buoy, because I want to do them. Robert Pruce. Hello, sir. Robert Prucer, thank you very much. I appreciate the super chat dearly. Asks, If they wanted to keep Mephisto going before the reset, I can see him show up in Daredevil Born Again season 2. Would love to see a scene with Matt and Marvel's Devil, and he could be tempted to bring Foggy back. Cheers. I love that idea. I think it'd be really interesting to address a man's religion by having him meet the devil himself that calls himself a devil. That's fun. You know, I don't think of them as interacting often. They have interacted, but not like commonly. I think that's a blast. I'm into that idea, especially with the Foggy elements. Yes, I think he's more likely going to show up in as a big bad in Doomsday. I think there will be a factor of power and otherworldliness. We had so many religious and theological elements in this last wave, whether it was Moon Knight or Thor, or a lot of the elements dealt with the afterlife. I think I'd like to see all that tied together, and it'd be cool because Doom is so big and mystical. I could see him there, but I really like your Daredevil idea. Not gonna lie. B-Town. B-Town asks, thank you, B-Town, for the super chat. B-Town asks, Coy, still addicted to comics after finding your solo channel? Man, they're fun as hell. If I want to dive into John Stewart comics, where do I start? All right, John Stewart is a delightful start because his beginning is great. His first appearance, I think it's Green Lantern 87. Look up John Stewart first appearance, and it's a really good story. I really like his opening, how he comes to play. You immediately understand the character. Then I would check out Mosaic. It's a really cool solo John Stewart storyline. And then thirdly, I'm going to say the New 52 John Stewart stuff's pretty great. And it's just approachable. I want you to have approachable stuff. And if you like that, then you can go back to, later 70s, early 80s stuff after he's invented. But those three, I think, are pretty approachable, good runs. Thank you very much for the question. I'm so honored. I'm so glad you got into comics and I could help out there. Dan V900, I know is not happening, but if I were Feige and after Doom pivot, I would have asked Noah Hawley about his Doom script. Imagine a solo Doom film between F4 and Doomsday that has the Reed friendship. Man, the Doom script from Noah Hawley is like one of those great like whales, like a white whale of pop culture. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Dan. It's like the Deadpool Donald Glover show. I think about it like once a week. Noah Hawley's such a genius, and what his Doom could have been, I would love to know one day. Will it ever happen? I agree with you, not happening. But I love this idea. I love the hope of it. I would love to see what that was going to be. Unfortunately, it just ain't it. It ain't it. But yeah, I'm with you. I would have loved to see that Doom project, Noah Hawley wielding Doom. And Doomsday, I do feel like, is going to be Doom's film. I think it is his day. But I also feel like in the same way that Thanos was the lead of Infinity War, it's going to be an Avengers film with Doom. I hope it leans a little even more Doom than the Thanos take did. I'd love to see a full-on Doom movie. Kevin Man Devil, thank you very much for the super chat, man. Kevin asks, Franklin Richards and his abilities are the perfect plot device for a continuity reset. He can literally create a new universe. You said it, Kevin, 100%. He is so powerful and brings us such an opportunity to make a canon decision like that. I think he might be the Molecule Man type character in Secret Wars. I think it's perfect, and I'm really intrigued how they move that going forward. And I think you shooting your shot right here. You've got it in writing and verbally. I think you're right. I do think that's going to be a big old factor. And you said it July 23rd, 2025, before it happens in like 2028 or whatever, whenever that lines up. So I agree with you, Kevin. Ryan Baines, thank you very much, Ryan Baines. I appreciate that very dearly. I've been reading comics for 35 plus years. Wow, dude. 34 for me, so I'm right there with you. But I'm curious, since you've seen Fantastic Four now, Galactus versus Thanos, who wins? MCU only. Without giving anything away, both are incredible. Without giving anything away, I think that both prove to me that you can do anything in movies if you have the right team behind it. So high praise to both of them. I'm going to say Galactus. All right, next up, we've got, I love that question because I was dancing, man. I didn't know what to do because I don't want to give away anything, but I would say that. John Tyson, thank you very much, man. As an adult, has there been a comic or adaptation that reignited your love for a character? Oh, that's a great question. Mine are Spider-Man PS4, Guns Superman, and CW Arrow. Fantastic question. I've read comics so much, and for so long, there are times that it becomes like, oh, just a thing I'm doing. And then there'll be like a really cool pop culture moment that I'm like, oh, right, how awesome is this? I would say Batman Hush was like, whoa. I would say, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man really reminded me how much I love Spider-Man. Recently, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man PS4, I was so deep already in Spidey, as I always am, and as I am now, but something about Your Friendly Neighborhood really sparked something new. And then I would say Smallville. Smallville got me big back into DC when I was a wee lad. So those ones. Great question. I love that idea. I'd love to know other people's in the comments in this video after the live. I'd love to read. The phrasing is adaptation that reignited your love for a character. I think that is fantastic. That's a really cool question. I'm going to do four more of these, and then we're going to talk a little bit more Marvel, then get to DC, and then get to comics. Go Birds! Go Birds! Thank you very much, Go Birds. Coy, I'm seeing Fantastic Four tomorrow night. Is there a comic I should read that you can relate to the movie? I'm making a whole video tomorrow morning. I'm making it today. I'm posting it tomorrow morning. Spoiler alert for my own video later. I'm going to talk about the Mark Waid run. I'm going to talk about the Jonathan Hickman run. I'm going to talk about the current Ryan North run. And I'm going to talk about John Byrne run. But of those, I think the most approachable is the Ryan North run. I think the most tied to the film is the Lee Kirby run. So if you want to feel like the movie, go back to the beginning. If you want something really approachable, go to the present and go with the Ryan North run. But I'm going to talk about all that in a video that drops tomorrow morning. I'm just hoping I have enough voice to film it. And then I go to Comic-Con tomorrow. Malik, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, Malik. Do you think a hard reset is best? I think characters like Spider-Man just started his story just for it to be set back to a beginning point yet again. It's really tricky. Because there are characters, I think of Miss Marvel. I think of the characters that are really working. And they did just start. Spider-Man is actually 5, 6, 7 years deep now, which is crazy to think about. And I don't know how much more Tom Holland wants to. I'd love if Tom Holland wants to do this for another 10 years. I don't know if he does. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. No Way Home was his origin to finally land at the Spider-Man street level character we know and love. So I want way more. But you can pick and choose with a Secret War choice to kind of keep characters in a linear timeline. I just think they need to narrow. But whatever characters get to stay, I'm excited about. Whatever they reset, I'm excited about because it's all fresh ideas. Spider-Man is one I'd love to see more of. I'm with you. And Ms. Marvel. Thank you, by the way. Ragged Recording, I appreciate the super chat. Good sir. Ragged asks, for the house fund, mate. Appreciate that, dude. Excited for FF movie this weekend, without spoilers, of course. Are there any nods to John Byrne? I'm nearly finished collecting his FF run. There is a ton of love for John Byrne. The nods are subtle, but there's this tone and a flavor I think is absolutely John Byrne. And I talked about John Byrne to Matt Shackman. So I know Matt Shackman is a devout lover of Byrne. So you're reading a good run. You're collecting a good run. I think that is one of my favorite runs. Yes, to answer your question, spoiler free. Thank you. And thank you to Andres, the last one before we talk MCU. Andre said, who would you like to win DCKO? Not Superman. That is the big event coming out of DC. Josh Williamson is writing. Who would I like to win DCKO? The guy that can escape everything. Scot-free. He wins and gets out of there, and he wins by escaping it all. Or Animal Man, because I want Animal Man to be more well-known. More Animal Man love, please, and thank you. All right. I am going to dive into some more news, and we'll come back to these super chats. Russell is our next super chat when I come back. But let's talk about Rotten Tomatoes, Spider-Man, and then we're going to dive into Kevin Feige talking about Superman, because I thought that was fun. First up, in just quick, because I think it's fantastic, and I do want to talk about Fantastic Four a bit, and I can't talk about the movie yet. You can watch my non-spoiler review. I'm not a guy that wants to talk about it until you've seen it, so watch that non-spoiler review. I was so careful. Also, maybe my best directed review ever. It's a walk and talk, and it turned out great. It was on the set. It was so much fun. Not only was it on the set of Fantastic Four using set items, but it's while Giacchino's score is playing distantly in the background. So it was a drone show I skipped for you lovelies. They were kicking us all out after the drone show. So I knew if I didn't film during the drone show, I wouldn't get it. So it's this beautifully orchestrated review. Anyway, go watch my non-spoiler. My last video posted. Rotten Tomatoes scores for this year's superhero movies. I thought this would be a fun way to look at the 4 big superhero films we've had this year, including Fantastic Four. The 4 Rotten Tomatoes scores are Thunderbolts at 88%, the highest rated superhero movie of the year, is the lowest grossing. I think that's really interesting. Quality and box office do not always correlate. I think Thunderbolts was fantastic. 88% is our highest, and it did not do as well in the box office as it needed to. Fortunately, it did well enough to show the power of Jake Schreier, who is directing X-Men, but it should have done better. Next up, Fantastic Four, right there, nipping at its heels at 87%. I love how close these are. I loved Fantastic Four, so I love that this is this high. I think that is a pretty fantastic score, and I think it's going to do quite well. Next up, we've got Superman at 83%. I personally would have this a little higher from my experience of Superman. I know it is a very specific film, which means it's not for everyone because it did have a lot to say in a very specific way. I think it's higher for me, but 83%, solid score, doing well, having great legs at the box office. I think this score is a testament to its longevity, showing that it's a vibe for a lot of people. Very interesting to have 88, 87, 83. And then Captain America 4 at 46%. So what's tricky about this is this did pretty well its opening weekend, and the drop-off was decently large. What's tricky is I feel like the movie was like half the movie it started to be. I think the movie was strong in its ideas that got cut out. And so it feels like a 50% movie. So a 40% Rotten Tomatoes score kind of works. So to go through those again, Thunderbolts 88, Fantastic Four 87, Superman 83, solid top three, and then Captain America 4 at 46. Now, I also wanted to point out 87% for Rotten Tomatoes, Fantastic Four is exceptional for that franchise because Fantastic Four 2025, 87%. Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, 37%. Fantastic Four 2005, 27%. 27%, you guys. And then Fantastic Four 2015, 9%. So Fantastic Four movies come out every 10 years like clockwork. There was a 95 one, never got released, no Rotten Tomatoes. 2005 is 27%. 2015, 9%. The sequel got 37, but now the newest, 87%. That's how much better the overall consensus of the amalgamation of these critic scores is. That is a testament to this new Fantastic Four. Just wanted to give that some love and bring up some deets there. All right, now let's talk about some Spider-Man goodness and then go back to Super Chats after we talk Kevin Feige. All right, so we officially have a filming day of August 1st for Spider-Man Brand New Day. That starts filming August 1 and is released July 31st, 2026. It is going to be in theaters a year to the day, that midnight after it starts rolling. That is a quick turnaround. It's totally possible. Films have shot in way less time. I'm sure they have a lot of previs done. I'm sure they've got a lot of the special effects already cooking, but that is a quick turnaround for a big movie. It is more street level than No Way Home, but what does that look like? I thought that was fast. Wanted to point that out. I think Superman wrapped and had a full year of visual effects, but on the other side, Fantastic Four was going into production as Superman was wrapping. So Marvel does things differently. That is a quick turnaround, but I still think it can be exceptional. I'm really excited for Brand New Day. I think it's a really good opportunity for a street level movie. I'm hoping the quick turnaround means all this time they've fleshed things out. They got started on previs, but also it means it can be more approachable and street level, not as crazy special effects. But time will tell, you lovelies. Starts filming August 1, in theaters July 31, 2026. And Kevin Feige said about that film, quote, him being by himself, dedicated to saving the city and dealing with, for lack of better terms, street level crime as opposed to world ending events. This sounds like a very promising perspective on street level. Kevin Feige literally said the word street level for us. That gives me a lot of hope. And one last Kevin Feige quote to wrap us out. And again, if you guys want to hear my thoughts on all the big Feige news, check out my video over at Real Rejects with Greg. The other thing Kevin Feige said that I loved is he talked about Superman, which I love that film. And I love that he's talking about his friend James Gunn's movie, saying, quote, I love that you jump right into it. You don't know who Mr. Terrific is? Tough. You'll figure it out. That is a fully fleshed out world. David Cornsweet, the new Superman, he was awesome. I agree. And I love that we're trying to get rid of this stupid barrier between DC Comics and Marvel Comics. I will keep saying it. It is not a Marvel store. It is not a DC store. You go to the comic store, and I think it's really beautiful that the head of Marvel is talking about the new head of DC's, James Gunn's new movie, and I think that's really beautiful, and I'm glad to hear he loved it, and Mr. Terrific was a standout for me as well, so I love that he got a little shout. in that Kevin Feige plug. Totally agree. And that is going to do it for our Marvel news. The John Bernthal Punisher is also filming, by the way. Very excited about that. But that is going to do it for our Marvel news. We're going to look at some super chats, and then we're going to dive into the DC news. And then we're going to talk about the comics from the second week of July. I'm 1 week behind, but we're catching up. I'm going to talk about July 9th's comics. All right, next up, we've got from the great Russell Amador. Russell, thank you very much, good sir. When do you think they'll announce the rest of 2027 Marvel slate? I believe there's 2 untitled scheduled, and what do you think they are? 2027 slate, I imagine, will be, I don't think it's Thor 5 anymore. I think it was going to be Thor 5. I don't think it's X-Men anymore because I think they're going to wait to even touch that until after Secret Wars. I could see it being Doctor Strange 3 as one of them. And I don't know the other one. That's a great question, man, because I really do feel like they're kind of pumping the brakes and readjusting post-Secret Wars. So I don't know what they'd want to put out right before. That's a great question. I'm going to say Doctor Strange 3, and I don't know the other one. Yeah, very curious what you guys think. Man, yeah, very curious. Sci-Fi Extremist, always good to see you, good sir. Sci-Fi Extremist asked, if Marvel was smart, we'd get an X-Men show and films. Oh, I definitely think we're getting show and films. I think there's going to be a whole great universe of Marvel stuff. I would love to see some, like, for lack of a better parallel, Hogwarts, like, school stuff. I want to see Xavier classes. I'd love to see X-Men and X-Force out there in movies. I'd love to see Generation X as a show. Like, stuff like that is such a possibility. I would love to see that. Yeah, I'm with you, Sci-Fi. I'm with you. All right. That is going to do it for the super chats for now. If you guys have any other questions at the end of this, I'm going to try to speed read these bad boys, but I see some Shang-Chi 2s. I see some Black Panther 3s. I met Simu 6 years ago yesterday, and I saw him at the Fantastic Four premiere yesterday or Monday. 6 years ago Monday, and I saw him 6 years later at the Fantastic Four premiere. And it was so crazy. I'm like, this guy is Shang-Chi, and I'm so excited for more of him. And I think he'll be one of the characters that survives into the new world. But I really would love if he was one that got a sequel before things, reset. But yeah, I'm very curious about that. All right, let's talk DC news, you lovelies. We officially have a Wonder Woman script being written and officially have who is going to be writing it, announced and confirmed by James Gunn. Anna Naguara, who we've talked about quite a bit, and I need to learn how to pronounce her last name if that's wrong. Anna Naguara is officially writing Wonder Woman. She wrote the script for Supergirl, which I hear is sensational. She's writing the script for Teen Titans, which I hear is amazing. This is glorious news. I'm so excited about this. Clearly, she is doing things right. Clearly, they are going back to what is working. This is fantastic. I cannot wait for Wonder Woman. Yes, 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 yes. That's all we know, but that's all we need to know. James Gunn confirmed. Anna Naguara writing Wonder Woman. That means things are moving and grooving, means he's confident enough to announce it, means that she has now written 3 things for that shared universe. Very excited about it. Now, we know Supergirl greenlit. I don't know anything about Teen Titans beyond her being attached. I have no answers for you. But Wonder Woman, I know James Gunn has been saying is very important to things sooner than later. So I'm very excited about that being that far along. A couple more quick bits of news. We do have updates on Booster Gold moving forward. Sounds like it is not Kumail Nanjiani, but things are cooking. We've got our showrunner attached. If it gets picked up, they'll be the showrunner for the duration. That means things are actively cooking there. Mr. Terrific, it's a rumor, but rumor is we are potentially having more Mr. Terrific, and he was the standout for me, so I'm really hoping that's the thing. You guys know, if you watch any of my content, I've been saying Mr. Terrific should be what we get next, and I'm hearing more and more buzz on the internet about such a thing. Also, Clayface, we cast our Clayface a few weeks ago. Now we've cast our female lead in Naomi Ackie. That's exciting. She was so good in that Zoe Kravitz directed Don't Blink or Blink Twice. Blink Twice. She was great in Blink Twice. She's popping up everywhere. Very excited to see what she does in Clayface. It sounds like it's going to be a gangster story with supernatural elements. I don't know any details. Again, I'm not that deep into the script side. I don't get to read the script, so I don't have more data than you guys. But from the internet saying there is a gangster story element, which is super exciting for like starting Gotham with that noir retro futurism. Hopefully, love that idea. Really excited to see what kind of Gotham comes to play in the DCU. And James Gunn confirmed, and again, I was wrong for a while, that Clayface will be in the DCU. So I'm very excited to see the villain story we get, and I'm so excited about the potential of building out Gotham with villains, because Batman has some of the best rogues, if not the best rogues gallery. I'd say him and Spider-Man in comic books. So I'm really excited. And last little bit of news: Brandon Routh, our last movie Superman before Henry Cavill, went and saw Superman and had this to say, quote, "I really enjoyed it. I think David is fantastic. I cried no less than 3 times. The first conversation with Lois and Clark in the apartment, all of the family stuff for me really hit. I have to go see it again." I love Superman, supporting Supermans. I think it's delightful. I just think it's a beautiful idea of him going and sitting and watching a Superman movie and getting to enjoy it. I know he's such a loyal nerd. He's at cons all the time. He's a sweetheart. I've talked to the guy. He obviously played him in, Superman Returns, then came back in Kingdom Come, played the Atom in between that. Really good dude. I love him talking on David Cornsweat's Superman, and I think that's really wonderful. So we got a lot going on in the DCU between Booster Gold movement and a script getting written for Wonder Woman, a possible Mr. Terrific, who knows in what direction, but hopefully a strong direction very soon. Clayface ramping up very quickly, coming out next year. Very excited for the future of the DCU, and a lot of movement in the MCU as well. Lots of stuff cooking, you lovelies. We've got a whole bunch to talk about over the next couple of years, and I am thrilled for it. Before we get to comic books, let's check some super chats, you absolute lovelies. All right, I left off with Sci-Fi Extremist, and I'm agreeing with them. I would like TV and film for X-Men. C Black asks, thank you, C Black, for the super chat, man. Comic accurate X-Men can be bigger than Avengers. I totally agree. I hope we get the 90s experience we could have with the show in the 90s, but with today's technology and movies. Like, that was such a cultural moment, that X-Men show. I would love to see that even bigger. I think, the Avengers were never as big as the X-Men in the comics, in my opinion. But I was reading X-Men so devoutly. Avengers felt like a cool team, but X-Men were X-Men. It could be huge. I'm with you, C Black there. Apparently it's Nog Air. Thank you, Stamina MC. Nog Air. I appreciate it. Ryan Baines, Nagara. Ryan Baines coming back with another super chat. Thank you very much, Ryan Baines. Ryan Baines asks, do you see a world years from now where we see Marvel and DC crossover cinematically? I turn 41 tomorrow, and I'm trying to see that before I die. Ryan Baines with the mortality coming in strong, making us very aware of our own imminent doom. I could absolutely see that world happening, especially now with, Kevin Feige and James Gunn are friends. Amalgam Comics are currently set to come out next year, late this year. I forget where they start, but Marvel and DC as publishers are teaming up. I could totally see a world where we get to play with that element in movies long term. Also, after things as big as, Secret Wars, how do you get bigger? And by the nature of sequels and by the nature of movie making and audiences' expectations, bigger, Marvel DC would be like the biggest thing. So maybe one day I would like to see that as well before I die as a 36-year-old. I am with you there. All right, you lovelies. Before I get to talking about the comic books that I read, I'm sorry. I almost jumped the gun. We also have Mally. Guys, that was crazy. It totally crashed to the point where I had to reset everything, but I think I'm back. Let me know if I'm back. I was literally trying to scroll, and then everything just locked up and shut down. My Google Chrome was like, nah, we're good. Thanks. I was about to say one more super chat. Thank you for your patience in that moment of silence, that moment of dark appreciation for existential dread where we all die. Before we die, we want to see DC Marvel crossover, cut to black, and we're back. All right. Dramatic. Malik, thank you for the super chat. Diving right back in. Malik asks, do you think that when they develop a Titans movie, they should follow the classic lineup or take cues from the 03 show? I think they should take cues from all of it. Like, when you think about the Iron Man movie or Guardians or any of the best hits, Superman recently, it's not like one thing. It's what has worked. We evolve over time. Our tastes evolve. I think sticking to just one tone, especially from another era, isn't the move. I think you find the things that work best. So even the 03 shows 20 years ago now, I would take cues from all of it and find the best way to blend it all together in order to keep it, topical, but also thematically appropriate. thematically appropriate to the era, but also thematically the characters. All right. I want to give you guys some recommendations from 2 weeks ago's comic books, the week of July 9th. But before I do, I want to talk about the way I keep track of my comics, and that is Cover Price. Dramatic reveal. I talked about these guys in a little video. I talked about these guys on last week's live stream. They like we were teaming up, but they weren't like do a certain number of videos, do all of this. Like we didn't do a thing of like we demand content. I just genuinely like these guys, and I genuinely love this site. I actually use it every single week. Cover Price is my price guide. I keep track of all of my thousands of comics. I've got 16,000 comics. It is hard to keep track. It keeps track of your comics down to the minute of their fair market value. It aggregates from my comic shop, from eBay, from CGC, all these different sites, and moment-to-moment sales to tell you what your comic is worth in that moment. It also tells you what comics are coming out every single week, all of the variants. It keeps track of all the variant covers. It's like a Wizard magazine, but digital. So I'm going to Comic-Con tomorrow. It is going to be my best friend to keep track of the 20 Spider-Man I have left, how much they're worth, what I'm looking for as far as like a fair market value, but also when I'm buying variants, I know what different covers there are and stuff. And they've got like movers and shakers articles about what's doing well in the industry, what first appearances are, if you liked a character from a movie, if you want to see Mr. Terrific's first appearances. But best of all, Cover Price for the first 50 comics you log and all the previews, absolutely free. If you want all of the articles, if you want to log all of your comics, if you want to do any of that stuff and dive deep into the site, it is super inexpensive. And it's even more inexpensive if you use the code COY, C-O-Y. Use the code COY. It's like $3. It is an incredible deal. Check out Cover Price. Use the code COY to save some money. Just C-O-Y. I love these guys very, very much. Okay. That is Cover Price love. That is all of our news. Let's talk the comics from the week of what week? July 9th. Guys, I'm losing my mind. I haven't slept very much. I did all my Fantastic Four coverage for Rejects yesterday. I'm doing it for my page today. And then I'm going to Comic-Con tomorrow. And in between that, I've got the Bad Guys premiere tonight. I had the Fantastic Four premiere. These are all the first worldliest of problems, but it does mean I have not rested in weeks between Superman, Fantastic Four, and Comic-Con. So I'm going to try to have the calmest August ever. It's not going to be easy. I actually have been cooking hot tea this whole time, and now it's time to have a little. There it is. All right. So, man, that's good. All right. Diving into my favorite comics for the week of July 9th. There were quite a few glorious books. It was a big old week, but some of them had to be better than others in my personal experience. If you guys want to check out the comics that didn't make the top 9, patreon.com/CoyJandro has all of my rankings and ratings. I mean, like whether it's an A, B, B minus, B plus, C, C minus, all that stuff. Check out patreon.com/Coy for all the comics I read, as well as me rating every single movie and show I watch that month. And it's like $5 a month if you want to see all of my ratings over there. It's actually how I can make comic book shows work. The super chats and that are how I can buy the comics, take the time, read the comics talk. So it's very much the way I survive. I appreciate the help over there on that stuff. All right, my favorite comics from that week. Trying to find it. July 9th. First up, we've got Absolute Superman number 9. This book right here is an absolute doozy. I love the way they're taking Superman. I love the perspective on Krypton and the refugee commentary, and truly his helpfulness for the world, I think, is an absolute delight. And I love that take on the character. Next up, we've got Action Comics number 1088, which is an absolute barn burner. I thought I had it right here, but unfortunately I don't. So I've got to find it here. It is an incredible telling of his origin. It's a really beautiful jumping on point. I think it's one of the best kickoffs that throws back to another era comics I've read in a very long time. Action Comics number 1088 is an immediate classic. It feels like one of those comics that you're like, oh yeah, that is Superman. I've been such a fan of what Superman comics have been of late. Cannot find the cover, so we're gonna go to the next one. Batman and Robin 23 is also absolutely incredible. There's two really good, three if you count the Jeff Lemire miniseries, Batman and Robin books going simultaneously, and it's so cool to see basically this much Batman working this well. It's been so rad to see these books thrive, and to have Batman and Robin in that book be him and Damian Wayne, and then have Batman and Robin Year One be him and Dick Grayson, and then Robin and Batman be him and Jason Todd, and all of the books somehow work has been incredible. Been a big fan of it. Batman Dark Patterns number 8 is my next most favorite from that time. I think it is the best David Fincher-esque detective story we're going to get outside of Matt Reeves' universe, inventing new villains, doing really incredible stuff. Really recommend Batman Dark Patterns number 8. Next up, Fantastic Four number 1, a brand new jumping on point for Fantastic Four. Ryan North is still writing it now with Carlos Ramos. I forget Ramos's first name. Harold Ramis, I think, has thrown me. Anyway, Ramos on art. Beautiful book, as well as I think the best written Fantastic Four of my experience. I love Ryan North's Fantastic Four oh so very much. Guys, now the internet on my tablet just crashed, so I can't show you covers. It is going crazy over here. I've given up a tad on trying to show you guys the covers, but I'm hoping. Aha, we're back. Fantastic Four number 1 is going to look like that. Really great jumping on point. Ryan North's my favorite. Now is my favorite Fantastic Four writer, so I highly recommend jumping on this new run. His last run just ended at 33 or 38. I would recommend that one as well. It's exceptional. But if you want to just jump on it number 1, this book is perfect for that. All right, and then after Fantastic Four, my next alphabetical Marvel Swimsuit was so much fun, you lovelies. Marvel Swimsuit is an age-old tradition in comics. It shouldn't be as good as it is, but they made a great story out of it. It is just a silly, fun time of seeing all your favorite Marvel heroes having a little summertime vacation. It's delightful. It's weird. It's tradition at Marvel, and I like it. Next up, we've got, I've got a copy, but it's over there. This is a giant, oversized issue. It's like huge, like 2 feet tall, and it is a really cool self-contained Superman story. It is Superman Hero for All Treasury Edition. It is a summer for Superman spectacle. It is illustrated by one of my favorite guys doing it right now, the guy that was just on Nightwing, Bruno Redondo, and it is stunning. And this is your cover right here. It is a self-contained giant Superman story that feels immediately classic. It feels like the film. It feels big and impactful, and the book itself is huge, so it's a really fun time to read and have that sense of scope and wonder. And our last two, before I completely lose my voice, I have so much to do today. There's just no time. And tablet completely crashed, including internet. Nothing is going right. Last 2 comics from the week of July 9th. We will not let technology slow us down. Trinity number 2. Didn't fall in love with Trinity number 1, to be honest. I didn't know if that character was for me. Really cute second issue with the daughter of Wonder Woman basically trying to find her corgi interdimensionally, meeting a certain Robin. It is a blast. It is so much fun. And finally, Uncanny X-Men number 17, which I can show you because it's right here in front of me. Boom. Uncanny X-Men 17. Really fun 90s slasher feel to this book. Really fun, like Scream. I know what you did last summer energy, but with the X-Men, and really cool commentary on propaganda and what movies can be and all of that stuff. Guys, we did it. We did the stream, even though everything tried to fight us. Umberto Ramos, thank you, Darth Vader. Douglas McKinney coming in clutch. That is going to do it for my favorite comics from the week of July 9th. I'm going to read them through because that was chaotic with the photo element. Absolute Superman number 9, Action Comics 1088, Batman and Robin 23, Batman Dark Patterns number 8, Fantastic Four number 1, Marvel Swimsuit, Special Friends, Foes and Rivals, Superman Treasury 2025, Hero for All, Trinity number 2, and Uncanny X-Men 17 are my favorite books from July 9th. We talked Marvel earlier. We talked DC earlier. Now I'm going to check on some super chats, and we are going to book out of here so I can rest my voice before the con. Also, you lovelies, I don't have any panels this year at San Diego Comic-Con. First year since my second year going. So if you guys want to find me, if you see me, say hi. I love talking to people. I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews for THR, and I'm doing a lot of work for DC, but I don't have any panels to tell you where to go to. So unfortunately, I can't like give you a hub. But hopefully, if I see you there, we can chat comics and stuff. All right, let's see. Next super chat was after the fall, after the darkness. Ryan Jones asks, "Hey, Coy, new here. Hey, welcome, man. I appreciate that. A little off topic, but have you ever watched Resident Alien watched Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk, my favorite comic adaptation of any comic property. It's pure fun and joy with plenty of heart. You know what's great? I heard about that from Alan himself and from his wife. I've talked to Alan and his wife a fair amount lately, and they were talking about that show, and now I'm going to watch it because Alan was so proud of Resident Alien, and I'm actually going to be talking to him about it at Comic-Con. So I've watched the first two, thought it was very endearing and adorable. I'm going to try to watch some more before my interview, and yeah, I'm into it so far, and I have heard of it from Alan, and I'm trying to catch up on it as much as I can. It seems delightful. It's definitely cheeky, funny. It's definitely an excuse for Alan to do a ton of voices and get to be like the playful, maniacal self he is. So yeah, and plenty of heart. I totally agree. All about it. Resident Alien. All right. Andrew Carnes, thank you for that. Andrew Carnes, thank you, good sir. Andrew says, love Superman. I'm good with whatever they do, and I know Gunn shot this down, but do you have to admit it'd be a fun twist if B. Cooper was actually Zod? You know what? Like, people were saying that, but I really think I like the nature nurture commentary of like being more than the sum of your parents and making your own decisions. And I think that was really important to the Pa Kent conversation. I liked that twist. But yeah, the Zod idea is fun. It's cheeky. I respect a cheeky choice. But I personally like that we have a different canon with Superman's parents so that it is about him making a choice. And I know a lot of people don't, and I respect that as well. Like, tomato, tomato. Tomato, tomato. Guys, I need sleep. Last super chat right here. Unless any more comes in, I will not leave until they all come through. Let's see. Ryan Jones, also for the house fund. Thank you very much, Ryan Jones. I appreciate it. Have I read the Dark Knights of Steel Elseworld high fantasy story? I plan to read it this weekend. Just wondering on your thoughts before I read it. I liked it. I didn't love it, but there are some really good highs. It's Tom Taylor. He's so good at Elseworlds. It's very King Arthur at times. There are some really cool twists. There were just issues. I read it month to month. Like, I read it in floppy. So there were some issues where I was like, oh, that didn't hit as well, or that twist didn't work for me. But overall, I think of it as positive, not like as strong as, some of his Nightwing stuff. But I really, really enjoyed it. It's just, yeah, it's very good, and it's a really fun Elseworld. And I think you'll dig it. All right, you lovelies, that is going to do it. One last sip of tea. I am going to Comic-Con tomorrow, and I am going to try to survive. Keep your eyes peeled for me running around for some interviews with me at THR, sitting down with some really cool folks. I'm very excited to share those with you. Please check out my coverage of Fantastic Four. My non-spoiler review is up right now. I'm going to do a comic video tomorrow. I've got to film it. I'm going to try to get my voice back before I film it. And then on Friday, my spoiler review, which I have filmed, luckily. I need to get all posted and stuff. That'll be up Thursday, Friday. Either way, I'm heading to Comic-Con tomorrow. So hopefully if you're heading down to San Diego, I will see you there. I'm also going to try to post some more of my THR interviews as well. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. I will see you very soon. I thank you again for all the love of actual journalism on the Fantastic Four press tour. Really appreciated people clocking that and noticing it. And yeah, I've been really proud of those, and I had a great time doing it. And that was such a blast. So my Superman coverage, I really appreciate you guys following along. Fantastic Four coverage likewise. Lots more to come for Fantastic Four. That is going to do it, you lovelies. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you soon. And thanks for being here. Thanks for watching the comic stream.